Welcome everybody to lecture 9, which is about the topic science and technology. And as we can see in this photo, we have a robot. He has one hand extended, his left hand, and his right hand is holding a shield. He is silver, he has blue eyes, and he looks like he's quite a shiny metallic type of substance. In the background we have a blue pattern, and this looks like quite a futuristic type of image. This week we should also start to think about revising for the course and think about our test, which is next week. And the final test will have the same structure as the midterm test. So there'll be a section on reading, on listening, on writing, grammar and vocabulary. They will all be covered in the final test. This week we're looking at the grammar point, which is modal verbs, and modal verbs are very useful in English. They're good for giving opinion and for talking about verbs in a way that we can't do with other regular verbs. So we're giving opinions, we're giving our feeling and our thinking when we use these modal verbs. So let's have a look at the structure. We have a subject plus can or must or should, and then we have the verb. We don't have ing, we don't have ed, we just have the plain infinitive base version of the verb. So let's have a look at some examples. Technology can change the way people live. So can is the modal verb plus a regular verb, change, can change. People must prepare for the future. So people is the subject, must, we just use must as it is, and then prepare. We don't need to say to prepare or preparing, no, it's just prepare. Or the scientist should try to do it again. So the scientist again is the subject, he or she or it should try. So should is the modal verb and then try is the regular verb. Let's have a look at some of the pictures for this week and talking about science and technology. In this first picture we can see an image of a man, and we also have the DNA structure. So we're talking about the X and Y chromosomes. These X and Y chromosomes go towards making up whether a person is a male or a female. We can see the helix, which is where the chromosomes have the DNA imprint, and this obviously is very important for understanding humans and things like human diseases. In picture B we can see an image of what a city might look like in the future. We have flying cars, we have tall towers, we have quite modern looking buildings, and it's also a regular day with a blue sky background, a few clouds, but this is an artist's impression of what the future might look like. In picture C we have a device which is known as a 3D printer, and a 3D printer is a piece of equipment which can print objects that are useful in daily life. Everybody's familiar with a paper printer, which can print paper copies of documents, but the 3D printer can actually do more than that. It can create plastic objects or ceramic objects, and this is something that we're going to see a lot more of in the future. And picture D is the same picture we had on the cover. We have an image of this robot. He has his one hand forward, one hand back, one hand holding a shield, and he looks like the type of robot that you might find in 50 years from now. What do you think cities will look like in the year 2050? Well, I think picture B is a pretty good representation of what we're going to see in the future. In 2050 I would imagine, or I predict, that cars will be flying, that people will have jetpacks, that they will be able to fly around in the city. I think there's a chance that there will be domes over cities, which means a giant round shape protection which will cover the sky. This is probably because the weather will be quite bad by that time. There might need to be extra protection, and the size of the cities will also be interesting. Some might be much larger than they are today. How do you think robots might be used in the future? Well, I think people will use robots for things like cleaning and cooking and driving and doing the types of chores that they don't want to do in their daily life. So I hope that robots are used for those types of functions, because that would be quite a convenient way to live. Let's turn now to the essay for this week, and we're talking about an agree and disagree essay. So first I'll read the question. People who are living 100 years in the future will live in a very similar way to the way people live these days. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? So when I think about this, I'm thinking about people living 100 years in the future, similar or different from today. If they're similar, yes, I agree. If they're different, I'll probably have to disagree. So let's have a look how I've structured this. So of course I'm going to have my introduction and my conclusion. I'll also have an agree paragraph, and I would say that people will still have family and friends as important parts of their lives. People will also live together in groups. So in this way, people will be similar. So I agree that they will live this way in the future. Disagree, however, I think the work will be different. I think the entertainment will be more active. It'll be more engaging and something that you participate in rather than just sit back in a passive way and watch television. I think entertainment will be more active. So therefore, I disagree with that statement. I disagree that it will be very similar. And then, as always, I've got my conclusion. So let's have a look at what an introduction might look like. Of course, I start my introduction with my general statement. So many people are interested in the way people will live in the future. That's not saying anything special. It's just giving a general statement about the question. When we consider life in 100 years from now, we can agree or disagree about whether or not life will be different from the way it is today. Again, I'm rephrasing the question. So my first sentence is giving a general statement. The second sentence is rephrasing the question, using synonyms, using my own words to say what the question is. Now I need to give my thesis statement, which is saying what will be included in this essay. This essay will agree that in some ways life will be similar to the way we live today. So that's true. That's what I'm going to say in my first body paragraph. It will also disagree that things will stay the same, especially in terms of the way technology will influence people. So I'm telling the reader in my introduction what will be in my essay. First of all, I'm going to agree, and then I'm going to disagree. Let's have a look at the agree paragraph, and this is what I've included here. Firstly, there are some important ways that life will be similar in the future. This is true, especially in terms of family relationships. So I know that this whole paragraph will be about the similarities, that I'm agreeing that it's going to be similar in the future. How do I know that? Well, my topic sentence. The topic sentence is the first sentence of the paragraph. The topic sentence says exactly that. There are some important ways that the life will be similar in the future. So this is my first way, family relationships. Family relationships and friends. This is because humans are social creatures. So I've underlined these sentences, which are sentences, or I've underlined these phrases, which are phrases that we use often in our essays. Firstly, in my opinion, this is because I believe that all of these phrases are used again and again. For housing, I believe that people in 100 years from now will most likely continue to live with other people in houses and apartments. This way of living has occurred for thousands of years, so it is unlikely to change in 100 years. So again, I'm giving a strong reason why I agree with this. I'm giving some supporting information, some extra information. I would then go to my second body, which is about disagreeing. And like I said, when I disagree, people will work a bit differently, and entertainment will be a bit more active. It'll be a different type of entertainment. But I'm not going to include that in this lecture. I want to go now straight to my conclusion, and I'm going to say, in conclusion, I believe there will be several similarities and differences between now and the future. While people will have similar personal connections with others as they do today, they will be impacted by the widespread use of technology such as robots and interactive devices. So I'm just repeating the main points, but I'm changing the words. I'm not just saying living in houses, I'm saying similar personal connections. And I'm not just saying different entertainment, I'm saying interactive devices. So to get a high score on your essay, on your writing, you need to show that you can use other phrases, other synonyms, other ways of saying the same type of information.